Hey, and I'm Mike Armani with FitForLaunch. The first Snapmaker video we did took an in-depth look at everything on the printer's box and the significance behind its marketing and product claims. Now let's jump into the parts that make up the Snapmaker 3-in-1 3D printer.
So this is just showing you what comes with the product. So you've got these different modules. If you got the 3-in-1 kit, which most people did, you've got a 3D printing print head, a laser engraving head, and a CNC carving head, a touch screen and its holder, a filament holder, the heated bed, a centralized controller, which uses a really clever connection mechanism. They actually look like old phone lines, the hardwired phone lines, or Cat 4, I think they call it, that plug into the controller, and then these pre-made linear modules, as well as the base and feet for the base. So let's open this up and see what's inside. Welcome to the Snapmaker family. Well, that's nice of them. Looks like instruction manuals and things like that. Come back to that. Here we go. Looks like some starter materials if you wanted to, I'm guessing, carve or laser etch into that carbon weave, and a piece of, feels almost like a light balsa, but it might be, actually no, that's more like an oak material. All right, here is basic micro SD card, which you'll use to store files, and a USB micro reader. So what you do with that is you plug in your micro SD card into your computer, since most people don't have an adapter for that, and a lot of devices don't even have a micro SD reader these days. Okay, let's put this foam aside. All right, that's what we want to see. Snapmaker heated bed. So this looks like a very solid construction, good technology. It's a very good way to build a heated bed. So what you have is a aluminum PCB. It looks like it's maybe 4 millimeters thick, and then what goes on top of it is a layer of copper cladding. So all these little lines you see, these are little copper heat traces, and they spread the heat equally throughout the system. And this just looks like some anchors that are epoxied with a gasket that you'll use to attach the heated bed. It's a very good design in a lot of ways. This gasket will allow for thermal expansion, and the anchoring will be strong. You've got 4 points. Maybe that's adjustable. You've also got everything integrated directly on the PCB surface effectively. On the other surface, it looks like we've got some sort of film. I can only speculate on what that is, but it looks like a replaceable adhesive, the kind of thing that would be easy to bond to because it's got a nice roughened surface. All right, so that's the heated bed. Controller, really cool design. I really admire what these guys are doing when it comes to design. They've got a real attention to detail here. Like, this isn't something where you needed to put in that much attention to detail, and yet that's exactly what they did. And the ports are there. This is that kind of clever phone line style way of connecting things I was talking about earlier, and definitely an output for a fan, because this is a pretty high power little controller. It's going to give you the ability to cool and not worry about overheating, especially the motor drivers. And then that looks like SD card, micro SD card. This perhaps is an actual Ethernet connection. and then a USB, power, and an on switch. There's your controller. The railing system. So this is really what made printers like the Snapmaker and Trinus and Monoprice and a few others really just excel at the smaller printer volume size range. Now the reason is these are going to be cantilevered, so there's going to be something screwed in on one end of it, and this will be floating in midair, and then that'll be also moving something else up and down. So this design is extremely stable and gives really high quality prints, so long as the arm isn't so long that it starts to bend and put some weird resonances, mechanical resonances into the system. As you can see on the inside, there is looks like that's a NEMA 17. That's a 42 millimeter stepper motor. And again, there's that clever connection mechanism. What's really nice about this is it's able to transmit power, and it's also keyed, and it's a relatively low cost connection, and it keeps everything pretty neat looking. There's a shaft coupler on the inside. This is something that you definitely want to have to prevent any wobble from putting any inaccuracies in your system. It's possible to see that by camera. What it looks like some sort of nickel coated, almost like a gunmetal coated steel lead screw, and the reason for that would be to keep friction down. Now I could take this apart to show you. What makes this system special is that it's actually riding on several ball bearings. I believe it's 3, if not 4. Yeah, it's 4. So you see those are probably POM, which is a similar material to Delrin, or it could be nylon wheels that are used to guide this rail on this aluminum extrusion. And all of that is driven by the lead screw. And what that gives you is the ability to cost effectively make a linear motion system where you can adjust these things if they degrade over time, or even if the system isn't perfectly precise on day one. And so this thing, has a very smooth motion to it. It looks like it has an end stop built into it too. Hear that clicking? Let's see if you can. So they also have the end stop function built into this little connector. So it's not a kit. This isn't something that you put together to feel like you're really skilled and well versed at building things. This is an easy to use system, and it's a very high quality extrusion. It's got some kind of anodizing on it. It feels smooth. It's extremely sturdy. And I would say the same for this connection piece as well. So there you have it. That is the linear slide system that makes the Snapmaker and a few other printers very special. Now I'm not going to actually build this kit in this video, but the idea here is to show you how it stacks up. And obviously this could be used for a number of configurations. All right. Next is a touch screen. Again, using that really clever connection. If you actually plug this in and move the printer around, you'll see Snapmaker show up on this screen. So this isn't just a touch screen. This is something they've already programmed and worked with. It's using the same anodizing. This doesn't feel or sound weak. This is quite sturdy. They did not skimp in any way on these constructions. You've got the chamfering on the edges. The edges are broken, as we like to say in engineering. So they did not go cheap on anything in this system. Let's take a look at the print heads before we move on. It's nice to be able to drop these without fear of breaking anything. I also have to say, this as a foam sleeve, these aren't that cheap to make. The black foam that you see there that keeps everything well packaged, neat, and safe during shipping, that is quite a pricey thing to do, and it's definitely because presentation is important. So this is an engraving tool head. You would screw it into the back somewhere here, and it looks like there's a motor. It looks like a basic DC motor, nothing too fancy. Common connection, and a single set screw for a milling bit. Next, pretty much the same exact setup, except this time it's for laser engraving. Had to add a Zenuji fan. Zenuji is a good company for affordable and long-lasting fans, and laser engraving module. And then last but not least, the 3D printing module. This is by far the heaviest of the three. It's probably twice as heavy as the other ones, and that's because it's got a NEMA motor on the inside. And I can't tell just by looking at it, but I'm going to guess that's a NEMA 17 as well. It feels pretty heavy. Again, they're using the same kind of anodizing. It really feels sturdy. The sides are anodized. You know, they could have gone cheap on this. If this was a cheap kit, that could have been 3D printed and stuck together, and then you could over tighten these and break off your cover and not get good cooling because it's plastic instead of metal. So they're definitely doing a lot here to sell a quality product. There's your print head. Looks like a nice smooth tip. It's important so it doesn't, we call it snow plowing, so it doesn't drag stuff around. Pretty basic in every other way. It looks like it's got everything that matters, as well as a common and open, non-chipped 1.75 millimeter entranceway at the top. I don't think there's too much we can say about these, other than it's a really cool design. They've got magnets in the back here. So when you take this guy and you put this guy on it, it's just magnetically held in place. And that's pretty good as long as you keep the angle about 20 degrees over, I would say, and then all of a sudden it grabs and it holds really well, which is the way it's designed. It's designed to go quite steep. Yeah, these guys don't miss a trick. There's some basic feet in here. Feels like it'll get the job done, nothing special. All right, lastly, you've got one more part. You've got the spool holder. Again, the same high quality anodized aluminum. So now we got a bunch of packages and some stuff under the packages. So safety glasses. I think that's just more than nice of them to throw in. These aren't cheap things. They definitely don't want you to use a laser and hurt your eyes. So I do think it is critical to include that. The thing they didn't have to do is put it in such a nice package. So black matte finish, just to hold all that. They could have just stuck that in the box and saved money. So they really care about the presentation here. Blocking green wavelengths. So we would be looking at a blue laser here. I think I made a mistake earlier when I said green laser. And then as far as the cables, these are all the little connectors, the little phone line style connection pieces. Looks like it opens from the side. So each one of these will be used according to the user manual to connect one device to another. So it looks like there's just a couple main ones in here. Definitely not enough for, looks like they only have enough for 2 axes. So I'm assuming we're going to find those. Oh, so some of them come installed. That's why. So you've already got the cables connected to at least 4 objects here. So you really only need 1 to connect it to the main controller and 1 to connect to your tool head. Last but not least, this is the tool pack. Again, these guys really don't miss a trick. They don't go cheap on anything. This is a nice tool. It looks like it's high quality for something that you would just usually have a much cheaper version of. This is a scraper that will help you remove your prints as well as tweezer to help you pick out support materials. Now under all that, we have a power supply. Now this looks like a pretty big power block. I mean, it's definitely not supposed to be gorgeous or anything like that. It just sits on the floor. But I have a hunch this thing is going to have really good short preventions and just is going to work fine. It looks like the kind of thing that might get a little bit hot. That would be normal during operation. And they have a country-specific plug that goes with it. Provides 125 watts of power, which is exactly what you would need for a printer of this size. Last thing, sitting here, hidden behind everything, is the base platform. Nice anodized aluminum, recessed for all those screw heads. And just in case you were uncertain, this is the underside. So that's it in a nutshell. You've got all of this stuff in a package. It's currently selling for $5.99. I know the price is going to go up another 100 or 2, and you can check that out by looking at the FitForLaunch.com website. I do have to say that we are not sponsoring this product directly, but since it is sold through our website, a portion of the proceeds of every sale goes to support FitForLaunch, so we can do more reviews and vet more companies like Snapmaker for you. And if you want to support them or ask any questions, you can reach Snapmaker or the FitForLaunch team directly.